How you
Great
doing?
to see you this morning.
Good.
Great to see you again this morning.
It's good to see you too. We're seeing so much of each other. lately,
Yes, ma'am.
But it's all for the good.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, John Breaux.
Hey, how are you?
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Get a line on this and
Hip hip hooray!
Good morning. How are you?
Good
Look, thank you so much. Mr. Chris, you doing okay? Great to be here. How are you doing this morning?
We're going to win this one, Chris. And we're going to have another one.
I call you 3 teams.
Good morning. I want to thank all of y'all for attending this morning. This is we're down to about 48 hours before everybody gets to go vote, and we're going to be victorious Saturday night. But I just want to make a comment or two about why the Louisiana Sheriff's Association endorsed John Breaux Edwards. All during the time that he served in the legislature, not one time has the Louisiana Sheriff's Association ever called this man that he didn't respond to our wants or our needs, or at least sit down and talk with us. I've been in politics a long time. I've never had anything but an elected job, and I've worked in Baton Rouge, I've lobbied at the legislature, and it is so important to have a governor that we in law enforcement, not only the sheriff's departments, but the city police, the state police, and everybody, that can call that governor's office and get an appointment to go in and sit down and talk with a man about their issues. And not only is it about issues that pertain to supplemental pay and DARE programs and things like that for our state, it's about laws that are passed in the legislature. There's over 3,000 bills filed in there some sessions, and we at the Sheriff's Association, we read every one of those bills. Some of them we won't take a stand on, some of them we support, and some of them we oppose. And it's all about public safety. And I know that John Breaux Edwards has public safety in his heart. And he has a sheriff that's serving, brother that's a sheriff that's serving in one of our parishes over in Tangipahoa. Great guy, an asset to our association. If we elect John Breaux Edwards, law enforcement is going to have the best governor they've had in many, many, many years. Not only is law enforcement going to have a good governor, but our teachers and our state employees and everybody that makes our government work, they're going to have a friend in that mansion, in that governor's office, someone that can help us. I was asked a few minutes ago, what's John Breaux Edwards going to do about the road system here in the state of Louisiana? I said, if the money is there, and that's going to be something that we're going to all have to work on, these roads are going to get improved. For the last 8 years, there have not been anything done to our roads, and we need to do that. I want to address one other thing. There's a vicious rumor going around about people from Syria that are being brought into the United States and housed in different places. A lot of the governors say they're going to block them coming into the states. You know, maybe they can, maybe they can't. But a rumor that the Vitter campaign has started that we have 8 Syrian refugees living in Pineville. That is absolutely not true. In the media, I want y'all to pick up on this. I just talked with Don Weatherford, the chief of police in Pineville. This is not true. This is a vicious rumor that's being started by the Vitter people to hurt John Breaux Edwards. I spoke with Mike Edmondson, the colonel of the Louisiana State Police this morning, and I've talked to some of the troopers that are here today. There's no Syrian refugees living in Rapides Parish. Take that to the bank. Spread that among your friends and your cohorts. We don't want rumors like that going around. This is a last-minute dirty effort on the Vitter campaign to do something to hurt our candidate, John Breaux Edwards. And with that being said, we're on the downhill slide, but let's don't take anything for granted. Let's be sure and get everybody that you know to get to the polls and vote. I think there's an indication statewide we may have a larger turnout, voter turnout this time than we had in the first primary. I know it was larger here in Rapides Parish, the absentee vote. So with that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to Senator John Breaux, which has been a great, great friend all the years. And it's just an honor to be here with you, Senator.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. Good morning, Central Louisiana. How are you doing? You ready for Saturday? All right, well, we are very happy to be here and to support the next governor of Louisiana. Sheriff, thank you so much for all the sheriffs and what y'all have done to help John Bell. It's been a tremendous asset to the campaign to have the support of all of the sheriffs, Republican sheriffs, Democratic sheriffs, and some sheriffs that don't even know what they are, but they're all for one person for the governor of Louisiana, and that's John Bell Edwards. The sheriff talked about these strange people coming in Louisiana. There is a strange person coming to Louisiana. He was spotted yesterday on the steps of the state capitol. He said he was back in Louisiana. He was sneaking in to tell the people of Louisiana about all the great things he has done over the last 8 years, and we haven't seen him in the last 2. That strange person that's trying to sneak back into Louisiana is Bobby Jindal. And I'll tell you one thing we don't need another 4 years of Bobby Jindal to be governor of the state of Louisiana. If you like me, I'm sick and tired of Louisiana being first on the list of things that are bad and last on the list of things that are good. We're better than that. We got better people in this state that can work together. Look at this crowd here. This is really a crowd that we can be proud of. It's black, it's white, it's Democrats, it's Republican. Probably got some independents in this audience. And I think the thing that brings you all together is that you know we can do a lot better than we've done for the last 8 years. When it comes to health care for our children, this governor has said what he's going to do, and he can tell you about making sure that we get the money we send to Washington back to Louisiana to help ensure people who need help in this state. And he said very clearly that he knows we're not going to look to education to slash and cut and destroy the higher education system of this state, because he knows what it means to have a good education in order to get a good job. I am delighted to be here. I'm doing everything I can because I think that we all believe that we can be a lot better state under the leadership of the next governor of the state. Please welcome John Bell Edwards, our next governor.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you, Sheriff Hilton. Thank all of you for being here this morning. What a beautiful day to be in Alexandria, Louisiana. And what a beautiful crowd. As I stand here, I just have to tell you, you look like Louisiana. How can you not love this state? We even have Santa Claus this morning. And Santa Claus has assured me Christmas is coming early this year if only you go out and vote. And while we're talking about holidays, what a great Thanksgiving we're going to have. What a great Thanksgiving we're going to have when we're gathered around that table with family and we're holding hands and we're returning thanks to the good Lord. And we're giving him thanks for all of the blessings in our lives. And we're going to be able to thank him that Louisiana came together to elect a governor who is going to work for all of the people of Louisiana. You know, we've got a lot riding on this election. If you are disappointed in the last 8 years, if you are tired of having a governor promoting self-interest over the common interest, if you're tired of having a governor that's everywhere but in the state doing the job he was elected to do, if you're tired of disastrous policies that leave people behind and protect just a privileged few, then you know it's time for change. And you cannot get the change you're looking for with Senator Vitter. That's 4 more years of Bobby Jindal except on steroids. Every day. On steroids every day. We got to do better than that. We've got to do better. Let me tell you what it's going to mean to put Louisiana first. We're going to stop demonizing our teachers and blaming them for all of our problems. We're going to start working with our educators, making sure we're reforming and improving public education, but giving them a seat at the table. It's our experienced classroom teachers who know best how to educate our kids. We're going to make sure that when it comes to higher education, we're no longer going to lead the nation in state general fund cuts to higher education. You don't know this perhaps, but under Bobby Jindal, we have cut state support for higher education more than any other state in the nation and raised tuition on our kids at the same time more than any other state in the nation. That is the perfect recipe for disaster. And if you're sitting back there thinking, but my child or my grandchild is on top, so what difference does it make? Well, it makes a difference because the TOPS program is not sustainable with these double-digit tuition increases. As your next governor, We're going to stop those tuition increases. We're going to increase the state general fund investment because it's the right thing to do for our state. It's the right thing to do for our kids. Let me tell you, if we have children in Louisiana who decide for whatever reason that they want to leave Louisiana to pursue a dream, God bless them. Let's wish them success. But if our kids decide that they have to leave Louisiana to get a good education, to find a good job or have a rewarding career, that means we are failing them. As your next governor, we are not going to fail our kids. We're going to create opportunity for our kids. Senator Breaux mentioned it. When I'm your next governor, we are going to make sure that working families in Louisiana, the working poor, have the health coverage that we are paying for in our federal taxes. It makes no sense not to expand the Medicaid program when we are paying $1.6 billion a year to the federal government, that instead of bringing it back to Louisiana, they're sending it to the 30 states that did expand the Medicaid program, 14 of which have Republican governors. This is not a right versus left issue. This is a right versus wrong issue. And I'm going to put the people of Louisiana first. It's not just going to help the working poor. The hospitals that are giving out all of this care, they're currently not being reimbursed adequately. If that continues, they shut their doors. And guess what? When a hospital closes, it doesn't just close for the poor. It doesn't just close for the uninsured or the Medicaid population. It closes for everybody. And if you think that's not enough, understand this. Today, every private family insurance policy, you are paying $1,000 more per year in premiums than you would otherwise pay because the hospitals are negotiating with the health insurers to recoup the reimbursements they're not getting because we're telling them no. And so they're getting it through the premium dollars that you're paying. So you're paying in federal taxes first, then you're paying in your premium second. And we're still not getting the health care expansion that we're paying for. That is wrong. That changes when I'm your next governor. Now look, we've got many problems in this state. And they're structural in nature, and it's going to be hard to fix. But you cannot fix them with a governor who is unable or unwilling to sit down with people who are opposed to him on certain issues, maybe of a different party or whatever. You've got to have a uniter. You've got to have a leader. You've got to have someone who's going to sit down and do the hard work to bring people together and forge consensus. Otherwise, structural change is not possible. I've been in Baton Rouge for 8 years. Structural change, as Bernard will tell you, requires a 2/3 vote. You've got to have Republicans and Democrats and independents coming together to do that. That is my track record. You've got to have someone who is a leader, who knows what it means to lead. So you got to be present. You got to be engaged. You got to lead from the front. You got to lead by example. That's what I will do. That is the way I was trained at West Point. That is the way I was trained at West Point. I had the great privilege of going there and getting an education from what is known to be the #1 rated public institution of higher education in the nation. I was very fortunate. And while I was there, my colleagues selected me to be the enforcer of the honor code. A cadet will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. That was my job at 20 years old. I've been leading for a long time. I left West Point, went into the Army for 8 years as an infantry officer and airborne ranger, commanding paratroopers in the 82nd Airborne Division. I know what it's like to lead. I know what it means to protect American lives. I took an oath to do that. And as your next governor, I want you to know that my oath remains the same. Public safety in the state of Louisiana is the absolute #1 priority. It will be for me as your governor. That's why I'm so proud to have the endorsement of the Louisiana Sheriff's Association and the Louisiana State Troopers Association. I am the brother of a sheriff, the son of a sheriff, the grandson of a sheriff, and the great-grandson of a sheriff. Let me tell you, I'm committed to public safety. Don't let David Vitter tell you otherwise. And he is lying about my record, my position on the Syrian refugee issue. My response is factual. It's on radio. It's on TV. You see it. Make sure you're sharing it with your neighbors. The fact of the matter is nothing will ever come before the public safety of the people of Louisiana while I'm your next governor. Now, fact of the matter is, when he had an opportunity to do something about it, he missed 3 committee meetings dealing specifically with the crisis in Syria and the refugee crisis that came from it. He missed 3 meetings. And now he's trying to blame me? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I know you're not falling for it, and the people of Louisiana are not falling for it. The simple fact of the matter is, Senator Vitter doesn't have the credibility necessary to make some crazy allegation like that stick. Now, but we've got to be on guard, because this is his Hail Mary pass. It's at the end of the game. He's behind. He's just trying to throw the ball towards the end zone and see what happens. That's where you come in too. You've got to intercept it. You got to make sure that they don't score, and you do that by making sure that people vote on Saturday. Now listen to me. We are ahead in the polls. We're going to win, but we're going to win because we work between now and 8 p.m. on Saturday. We're going to get people to go vote. If you early voted, God bless you, thank you, but your job is not over. You've got to now get people who didn't early vote and make sure they go to the polls, because there is only one poll in this race that counts, and that's the one that they do on Saturday. That's the only one that counts. So I need your help. Look, to win, David Vitter's got to get 75% of the Angel and Darden vote. He can't do that, especially if you're out there helping me. You know who in this community, who where you live, voted for Scott Angel and Jay Darden. By the way, they're both good men. They're good public servants, and they did not deserve the lies and the negative attacks that they had to endure from David Vitter. They did not deserve that. They're good men. I'm very proud to stand before you, having been endorsed by Lieutenant Governor, the Republican Lieutenant Governor, Jay Darden. Let me tell you, Senator Vitter likes to tell people who's out there supporting me. He never says, oh, Jay Darden is supporting John Bell. He never says Tom and Gail Benson, the owners of the Saints and the Pelicans down in New Orleans, arch Republicans, are supporting John Bell, but they are. He never says Richard Lipsey, who is the biggest firearms distributor in the country and a champion of the NRA, is supporting John Bell, and he is a Republican member of the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry Board. He doesn't say that, but he is. He doesn't say that the West Feliciana Parish President, the 21st Judicial District District Attorney, both Republicans are supporting John Bell. He doesn't say that his own sheriff in Jefferson Parish, Republican Newell Norman, is supporting John Bell. And in fact, yesterday, 20 local officials from Jefferson Parish, most of them Republicans, some of them Democrats, a couple of them independents, the people who know David Vitter best, they endorsed John Bell Edwards for governor. That includes state senators, state representatives, the sheriff, parish councilman. Look, the reason he doesn't want you to know that is because if you know that, then you know that between me and Senator Vitter, I am the only one capable of bringing the people together. I am the one being supported by Republicans and Democrats alike. And so I'm excited about this race. I know that we're going to have a good night Saturday, but I know it's going to happen because you're going to keep working. We're not going to take anything for granted. We're not going to be complacent. We're going to be focused like a laser. And look, I am an ex-Army officer. I used to give operations orders all the time, and I know I'm speaking to some military people out here. But whether you're former military or not, you all have a mission. And that mission is to stay focused all the way through 8 p.m. on Saturday and get the people to the polls. Now look, I'm going to make some comments now about the budget situation. You all know that for 8 years we've had a governor who's pursued disastrous policy after disastrous policy. He's been irresponsible and dishonest in his budgeting. We have created a structural budget deficit as a result, with shortfalls every single year. I want you to know that he is proposing right now what he's calling a fix to the problems in the current year. They are not fixing anything. We are $487 million short in the current fiscal year that started July the 1st. And it's all because of his undisciplined and irresponsible budgeting. And this is just the latest example of Bobby Jindal's failed leadership. There's practically no recurring cuts in expenditures. There is no additional revenue. So what are we doing? Bobby Jindal is proposing to just punt, to just take this problem and push it into the next year. Well, let me tell you, I'm up to the challenge because I'm going to be a real leader. We're going to be honest and we're going to be disciplined and we're going to deal with our problems. But it is the wrong thing to do for the state of Louisiana, what he is doing today with respect to this proposal of his. I want you to know that he proposes to take $46 million from the Transportation Trust Fund from what he is calling an excess balance. Let me tell you, when you've got a $12 billion backlog of road and highway and bridge needs, there is no excess balance of $46 million. But he's going to take that, he's going to plug a hole with it. He's going to take $4 million from the Conservation Fund. He's going to take $6.5 million from coastal restoration, Senator. From coastal restoration. There is no higher priority for the state of Louisiana. This is a disaster, but biggest of all, $340 million from the Department of Health and Hospitals. $340 million. $186 million of which they had just found in order to fix the problem that they had since the start of the year. Well, he's taken the fix away from them, which means that DHH will need at least $186 million between now and the end of this fiscal year to be able to deliver the needed health care services to our people and close its books in balance. This is a disaster for this state. We have got to turn this state around. We cannot follow up Bobby Jindal with somebody else who's taken the Grover Norquist pledge, somebody else who's going to promote the special interests over the common interest. That's exactly what David Vitter will do. As your next governor, we're going to be honest, we're going to be disciplined, we're going to budget responsibly, we're going to fix our problems, because if we don't, we are never going to invest in what everybody in Louisiana believes to be critical priorities like health care, higher education, K through 12 education, and our transportation infrastructure. So, I need your help. You know I need it because that's the 5th time I've asked for it, right? I'm not shy. The senator's saying it's the 6th. When you leave here today, take advantage of this great weather. Take advantage of your relationships, of the people in your family, your friends, and make sure that you are reaching out to them about how important it is that they vote. Honor a veteran by participating in the democratic process. Our men and women in uniform have served to protect and preserve that right. Honor them by going to the polls on Saturday. And while you're doing it, go ahead and vote for the veteran. Go ahead and vote for the veteran in the governor's race. Look, I want to thank you all for coming out again today. I want to thank Senator Breaux and Sheriff Hilton. I want to call out my brother Daniel, who is my sheriff. He's here today. Somebody else here that I haven't seen in about 30 years, my Little League baseball coach, who I didn't know lived in Alexandria. But he's here today, and that's Coach Gary Bernard right over here. I want to thank him for showing up. And just to set the record straight, I was a pretty good pitcher in my day. I just want you to know that. But look, we're there. We're there. If you will just keep working together, we're going to score a tremendous victory on Saturday night. And my pledge to you now is the same as it has been for months. If you will honor me with your vote, and by the way, I want more than your vote, I want your prayers too. Not just for me, but for the state of Louisiana, for the United States. If you will honor me with your vote and your prayers, in exchange, as your next governor, my pledge to you is I will always be honest with you, I will never embarrass you, and I will get up every day fighting to put Louisiana first. God bless you. Thank you very much. The revenue shortfall that we have in the current fiscal year is now $487 million. It's a result of dishonest and undisciplined budgeting for years that has created a structural budget deficit that is the first order priority when I'm the next governor. We've got to fix that structural budget deficit, otherwise we can't invest in anything that's a priority for the people of Louisiana. But I find it especially egregious that the governor is going to propose cutting DHH by $340 million, including $186 million of which it needed in order to fix its problem this year because the utilization for Medicaid services was not fully funded in the budget. They found $186 million to fix their problem. He's going to take that and put it towards state general fund, and as a result, DHH is going to have to find now another $186 million just to close its books and balance at the end of the year. So this is a disaster for people who need health care in Louisiana, for providers who are providing that care. We certainly can do better. I will tell you, I'm also very, very concerned that the governor is going to take $46 million from the Transportation Trust Fund. He's calling it an excess balance. There is no excess balance when you have a $12 billion backlog. And when people pay gas tax because they pump gas or diesel into their cars and trucks, they're expecting that money to go to highways and bridges and road construction and maintenance. And the idea that we would sweep that money and put it in state general fund in order to address a shortfall is very, very problematic for me. That is undisciplined, irresponsible governing. $4.6 million from coastal restoration efforts. That's wrong. We have to make sure coastal restoration dollars only get spent on coastal restoration. Otherwise, when we finally get around asking Congress to give us help to make sure that we can fund the coastal restoration master plan, they're going to say no thank you. Why should the taxpayers elsewhere in the United States step in and spend money when we didn't spend what we had wisely and prudently and on coastal restoration? So that is a real problem as well. Look, we've got to have a governor who is going to work with the legislature to fix the structural budget deficit. That's what I will do. We're going to stop all this irresponsible, dishonest, gimmicky budgeting, and we're not going to keep punting the ball downfield and leaving it for additional generations or future governors. That's all this is. He is putting this problem off until the next governor. Now, I'm more than up to the challenge, but it's going to make it harder for Louisiana than it should otherwise be. But we're up to the challenge. If that's the situation I inherit, then we're going to fix it. I'm going to roll up my sleeve and work with Republicans and Democrats and independents alike to fix the problem. But what he's doing today is a disaster for our state.
In the final days, the Syrian issue has become Syrian refugees. Your feeling?
Well, first of all, the idea that David Vitter is lying about my record is despicable. On Saturday of last week, the day after the incident in Paris, I called for an immediate halt to any more movement into Louisiana by Syrian refugees. I also, on the same day, issued a press release supporting the governor's letter to the president demanding more information about the Syrian refugees already here. And then on Monday, when the governor put out his executive order halting any additional refugees, I immediately put out a press release supporting that too. That is my record. The senator's record, he missed 3 meetings in the United States Senate on a committee that he's supposed to sit on when he's working for us that addressed the Syrian crisis and particularly the refugee crisis. So he was AWOL. And the idea that somehow he has this issue for his advantage is just laughable. The people in Louisiana are not going to fall for it. I am a West Point trained U.S. Army veteran. I commanded paratroopers. I am endorsed by the Sheriff's Association, by the State Trooper Association. They know that I will be the governor that works best with them in order to keep people safe. And the same pledge I made to people as an Army officer to protect American lives is what I'm making as governor. There will be no higher priority than public safety than when I'm governor of Louisiana.